moms and dads out there, let Pizza Ranch make feeding your family fun and affordable. Every Tuesday night, kids 12 and under eat free. Whether they love the pizza, chicken, or mac and cheese, you'll make them all happy. When you're on the go with sports, church, or, well, just life, come in for a quick and delicious buffet. The best part is, they'll do the dishes. Pizza Ranch makes family meals fun and fast. For delivery or carryout, call 792-3456. Pizza Ranch, just off Highway 30 in Carroll.
Whoa, that's good.
Pizza Ranch Coaches Show rolling on here on this Saturday morning. Talking right now with Carroll Boys head basketball coach Randy Beeson. The Tigers 1-1 this past week, but the loss coming on Thursday night up at Storm Lake to end their season. Coach, it's hard to believe we're wrapping things up with you, but what a great season that you guys had, and really kind of turned the corner, I thought, there in the second half of the season.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. There's definitely some ups and downs. We struggled there early on to kind of figure things out a little bit, but you always want to be playing your best basketball towards the end of the season, and we went on a pretty good stretch, and then lost to Harlan, lost to Gilbert in a makeup game, didn't play our best basketball, so wasn't quite sure how we were going to respond for the district play, and but we came out and played really well in that first round game, and tough one to take against Storm Lake on Thursday, but played a pretty good game.
Yeah, I thought you played well in both games this week, especially that game against Sadell. Got out quick on them. I thought kind of dominated every aspect of that game. There was that one stretch there for about maybe a minute and a half or 2 minutes, or I think you turned it over 3 or 4 times in a row there in the first quarter that let them go on an 8-0 run, but that was after you had been on an 11-0 run and really just kind of retook control of the game, I thought, after that.
Yeah, I was really proud of our guys. They were really dialed in on the defensive end. We knew they had some shooters. We knew offensively that they could really get things going, and we executed the plan very well. We were in the right spots. We made it tough. I mean, they scored 0 points in the first 3 or 4 minutes of that game. And for the most part, we did a pretty good job offensively, too. And you're right, besides that stretch in the first quarter where we turned it over a bunch and we were up 11-0, and I think it was about 11-9, just like that. Besides that little stretch, we played a really complete game. Stone shot the ball extremely well, made 7 threes. Trey Tassel made a couple threes, scored 17 points for us, got to the foul line a bunch. So, just super proud of the guys because, like I said, we had lost a couple of games right before that, the Harlan game. We were right in there, lost that one at the end, and Gilbert we didn't play especially well, and we reverted back to some of our old ways. So really didn't know what to expect going into it, and we had a good long talk and wanted to make sure that we were all in for the new season, and had a couple good days of practice, and the boys played well. So it was good to see that, and that brought a lot of momentum into the game against Storm Lake. So I thought our guys were ready to go for that one as well.
Yeah, and really played well against Storm Lake. I thought a really good defensive effort last night. I know that the one kid went off a little bit last night, but you held Kuhn in check. DeVergston didn't really have much of a game against you, so Boyd hurt you a little bit. But I thought other than that, you guys really played well defensively.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun, right? I mean, a full house, standing room, a lot of people standing and watching because there wasn't a seat, great environment. And once again, you don't know really how high schoolers are going to respond to that, right? We haven't been in those games where it's a complete packed house like that. And, we tried to say, hey, the pressure's all on them, right? They're supposed to win. They've only lost one time all year, so let's just be free and go have some fun and see what happens. And defensively, we were really good. I mean, the Boyd kid is a really good player, and we did a really good job on him the first time, which helped us knock them off the first time we played them. And, he had 3 threes in the first quarter, scored 14 points, maybe 16 points there in the first half, and we limited him a little bit better in the second half, but he's a really good player. And then, as you know, Kuhn is super athletic and can shoot it from the outside. He only made 1 3, so we did a good job. Jared, Miles, know a little bit. I had to end up guarding him at times, so I did a good job on him as well. And we didn't box out as well as we needed to. They got a lot of offensive rebounds. I don't know the number yet, but it was too many. And when we need to get a few stops down the stretch, they made the plays. And it was unfortunate because, give our guys credit. They battled back and forth the whole game. It was a game around. They'd get up, and then all of a sudden we're right back into it. And give our guys credit. I think it was 11 points at one point, and 7, 8 points there even late in the game, and gave ourselves a chance, a one possession game with about 55 seconds to go, down 3, and give Storm Lake credit. They made some free throws down the stretch, but yeah, another game, proud of all our guys. They stepped up in a big moment, and Matt Callison was outstanding. Ended up making 5 threes on the game. Struggled to shoot it all year, and he played with confidence, and there was no hesitation. When he was open, he knocked him down. Miles went off in the first half. 3 threes, 14 points in the first half. Just playing with a lot of fire, a lot of energy. So it's just fun to see guys compete like that. And it's unfortunate because you never want to lose that last game. Every team except for one in 3A is going to have that feeling, and you hope that it doesn't come until the way end. So it's a tough locker room to be in, but super proud of our guys and the way that they battled and competed and never gave up. And they played together as a group. They shared the basketball. They did all the things that we wanted them to do. And unfortunately, it just wasn't good enough against a really good team.
Didn't ask you on Thursday night in the postgame. I thought about it, but wanted to stay away from it for a moment. But, losing Miles in the fourth quarter, he had such a great first half. I know they defended him a little better in the second half, but he still did so many other things. How much did that hurt you guys maybe down the stretch to have him not available to be able to come back in?
Yeah. I mean, he did such a good job off the bench. He's that fire. He's that energy. He's not afraid of getting up in Coon and bothering him. He's a good rebounder. He got a couple offensive rebounds, a couple putbacks. So yeah, that hurt. I don't quite remember when that actually happened in the game, but I think it was a pretty questionable one that he picked up his 5th on, and so that makes it tough. And we have guys, right? So when someone goes out, you got to rely on some other guys to make some plays, and but yeah, that was a big one in the game. Jared Moore was solid with 10 points, and he did a good job of controlling Coon and doing some things. Blake came off the bench and hit 2 big threes, one in the first half, one in the second half. Trey attacked the basket well. Noah Henners was strong and physical inside and did a good job of rebounding. So, it takes everybody all the time. But yeah, that was a big play. 51-51, we drove to the basket and thought we had an and one with Mac. Mac made a really good play, spin move, whistle gets blown. We're all excited, celebrating the and one, and gets called for a travel, and they come down and hit a 3 next possession. So a 5-6 point swing right there. And you're never going to point your fingers at one play, one possession, but it was a big play in the game 6 minutes ago, 51-51. And, we never just quite caught up from that. We continued to battle, continued to keep trying, but down 59-53 with 2 or 3 minutes to go. And, like I said, we need to get a few stops, and it could have been over with 6-7 points there late in the game. And Mac hit a big 3, 2 or 3 feet behind the 3-point line. We threw the press on. We got Boyd to kind of roll over with the ball. They ended up getting a timeout out of that instead. And there's another jump ball opportunity. Coon had it. We had 2 guys grabbing the ball and ended up calling a foul. Luckily, he missed a few free throws down the stretch, but and then Mac hits another big 3 to make it a 3-point game. Like I said, one possession game with 55 seconds to go, and we end up getting a foul call, and their 45% free throw shooter makes both of them to put them back up 5. So we didn't execute, trying to get a good look on the 3 the next possession, and just didn't quite happen. But in games like that, you need to catch a few breaks. You need the ball to roll your way a little bit. You need to get a couple foul calls or a couple calls that help you out a little bit, and you need to catch a few breaks, and they just didn't roll our way. But once again, our guys competed and battled and never wavered. Body language of our guys was great. They battled through adversity on the road. So great effort by our guys, and it stinks for the seniors to go out that way, but they put up a great fight.
Coach, you did have a great group this year. We'll talk seniors here in a moment. I want to look at the season as a whole. I go back all the way back to early January, and I know it ended up being a loss, but that game over at Ballard when they were ranked number 1, that one kind of is the one that I always think of when I think of this season. What game for you will you go back when you look at this season? Will you go back and remember maybe 10 years from now?
Well, I think going up to Storm Lake was a lot of fun. We were struggling. I don't know if we'd won more than 1 or 2 games going up to that game, and they were undefeated and having a good year. And our guys played. I mean, I just remember in the timeout early on going, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Like, this is a team that I thought we were going to have all year, and where did these guys come from? Like, this is what I thought we were going to have. We played a really good game and we competed. And, I mean, it was the same effort that we had Thursday night, and we won that game, and then had to go to Ballard the next time, I think, if I remember right in that schedule, and played a really good game at their place too. Up 11 going in the fourth quarter, and had our chances again in a couple bad breaks, a couple situations that didn't seem to go our way. A few turnovers there, but we were in that game as well, and it would have been a great back-to-back couple of games. So I would say those 2 games especially. It's hard as a coach. It's hard as a player too. I remember having a conversation with you like halfway through the year saying, we're still trying to figure some things out and figure out each other a little bit and play with each other. And you kind of made the comment like, are you surprised it's taken this long? And I'm like, man, you're right. We're halfway through the year. We should have this figured out. But, we just weren't clicking. There's not quite sure what it was exactly, but we just weren't right on the same page and doing the things that we felt like we could be doing. And like I said, guys really came together. We put together a pretty good stretch where we went 5-2 or something like that, 3/4 of the way through the year, and we're playing some really good basketball, and a couple stinkers mixed in there, which is going to happen from time to time when you don't make shots and things like that. But I thought our guys did a really good job of coming together. Everyone comes into the year thinking they want to have the best season possible, and individually as well, not just team-wise. And I think that's what took a little learning early on was, hey, we got to do this as a team. It's not about one guy scoring all the points and being the man. It's going to take everybody. And it's fun to see a group come together like that and start to care more about, hey, it doesn't matter who scores the points. It doesn't matter who's taking the charge, who's doing what. We got to find a way to come together and win games. And I feel like we did that down the stretch towards the end of the year. And, it would have been really easy against Storm Lake to get down 8 points, to get down 11 points in that type of atmosphere and that environment, and just be like, you know what, it's not our night. It's not going to happen. And that was never the case. I never felt like we cashed it in. We just kept on competing, and like I said, gave ourselves a chance at the end. So it's good to see guys come together like that.
Coach, we talked a little bit last night. You mentioned your senior group, and I wanted to give you a chance to kind of hit on that again today. 5 seniors, if I remember right. All of them contributed to you in one way or another this year.
Yeah. You can't say enough about those guys. Stone, shot the ball really well early on, and then struggled to shoot a little bit throughout the season, and then, like you saw against Sadell, made 7 threes. He was another one. You talk about that Ballard game. He made 6 or 7 threes in that game and was a big reason of why we should have knocked them off at their place when they were undefeated there and the number 1 seed in the state, or number 1 ranked team in the state. So he could really get it going and puts in a lot of time. He's a quiet kid, but just wants to do whatever's best. For a while there, we're talking about, hey, we gotta make the extra pass. We gotta make sure we're working the basketball, and he started doing that. And I went to him, I'm like, hey, I'm not talking about you. When you're open, you got to shoot. You're a good shooter. You put in the time. You deserve it. And then won a couple games where he was really aggressive and did some nice things. And I think early on he thought he was just a 3-point shooter, but he found himself going to the basket more and getting to the foul line, shot a lot of free throws, and was a good free throw shooter. So he had a really nice year. Carter and Noah started for us as well, and Noah's one of those guys. I mean, both of them are undersized post players. They're playing the 4 and 5 spot for us. They're 6 foot, 6'1", and they're competing against 6'5", 6'6" guys. And I keep yelling at them that they got to get more rebounds, and they're trying their hardest. But when they're giving up 4 or 5 inches to some of those other guys, some of those teams in the conference, it comes down to just grit and toughness and find a way to go get that thing, and fundamentally being sound. So I thought those guys did a really nice job for us, being undersized posts. Blake Malinsky is a really good shooter. Last year shot the ball really well at the JV level, and took a little while to get him going this season. But every time he shoots it, I think it's going in. And just a really good teammate. He's one of those guys that understands the game, loves the game, is always one of the first ones at practice, one of the last ones to leave. Just one of those kids that you'd love to have on your team. And, I'm sure he'd probably wish he would have played a little bit more and got a few more opportunities, but he just wanted to be the best teammate he could be, and made 2 big threes there in the game against Storm Lake, and had some good looks late in the game as well. And, just a great kid to be around. So I'm proud of him this year. And then Maddox White as well, another good athlete for us, and was a good football player, and stuck it out for basketball, and one of those guys that all the kids love to be around. And same way, when we need to give those post players a break, he'd come and do some things. And just another good kid that could have complained about his role and could have complained that he didn't get the playing time that he wanted, but showed up every day and just did what we asked him to do. So I can't say enough about those guys. It stinks the last game, because they put in a lot of time, and they want it just as bad as everyone else. So it's hard to say goodbye to those guys, but can't say enough about how proud I am and how thankful I am for what they've done for the Carroll basketball program.
Well, Coach, I tell you what, it's always a lot of fun covering your teams. I love watching them play. Appreciate all you do for us. You always get us results. You always are willing to take interviews whenever we need them and everything. So we thank you for everything you do for us out at the Carroll Broadcasting Sports Network. Sorry to have it end before we wanted it to, but looking forward to next season. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. We appreciate the coverage. Appreciate all you do. These guys can't get the recognition and all that stuff without you and covering every game and calling the games that you do and taking the time, even on those long road trips, of having people lined up to come to Bondurant and Winterset and Carlisle. So we definitely appreciate the coverage. Thanks for all you do. You bet. Head coach Randy Beeson again joining us here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show. We're back with more coming up next year on KCIM.
I'm Mary Neubauer with the Iowa Lottery. March is National Problem Gambling Awareness Month, when we highlight and remind Iowans that help is always available 24/7 here in our state.
And I'm Katie B. with the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services. Visit yourlifeiowa.org to learn more about problem gambling. Start the conversation today by text, live chat, or by calling 1-800-BETS-OFF.
It's free and confidential.
And it's something you can do anytime.
We're back here on the Peach Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning. Let's talk Kemper boys basketball, as the Knights will be in action coming up later on this evening. Going to be taking on Union Community down at the Knapp Center. And of course, we'll have that game covered for everybody coming up tonight. I'll be headed down there along with Doug Waniger, and we'll have that broadcast for you tonight on 93.7 KKRL. Coach, as always, good to catch up with you. Congrats on a nice run so far here through the postseason.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet, Coach. You guys took on at West Marshall earlier this week to advance into tonight's game. Played them over in Jefferson. You played over there last year as well on your run in the postseason. Played pretty well. Sounds like at times maybe struggled, but the two sophomore guys, Griffin Glynn and Dylan Schoen, sounds like had some really outstanding games for you.
Yeah, they just changed the kind of the tempo of the game and got it sped up. It was I thought we got a lot of really good looks early. They just there was a lid on that basket we couldn't get off, and we were finally able to get the lid off the basket, and then we picked up the pressure on defense a little bit. We were able to create some more runouts. Early on, we were getting some turnovers, but it was a lot of dead ball stuff. So we were getting transition looks off of it. But once we started scoring, we were able to pick up some full court pressure and got some more live ball turnovers, which allowed to let us really go on a run and kind of pull away.
Sean, is it kind of weird for people to say, Kemper didn't play real well the other night and you win by 29?
Yeah, I was talking to one of our old coaches, that's at Harlan now, and he said something along those lines of, he's like, you can't get too mad about, playing bad and you're still losing by 29 or when you win by 29 points and you don't think you played well. But I think the biggest thing we got to realize is we still shot, like 55-60% from the field. We scored 76 points and we didn't have a good shooting performance. So if you can score 76 points when you're not shooting the ball well, that says a lot about how far we've come, because a year ago we probably don't score 50. We would struggle to score 50. If the shots didn't fall last year, we struggled to score. This year, our guys are able to find other ways.
What was the difference that allowed you to be able to score even if you didn't shoot the ball well? I mean, you shot 58% from the field. It was kind of the 3-point line where you struggled a little bit, 4 of 15.
Right. Yeah, and that's it, and that's what comes from our defense, our defensive pressure. I think that's been the biggest difference all year. That's been our separator. Our ability to pressure guards, get them to turn the ball over. And then, get guys out there running. You get kids like Dylan and Griffin out there with their athleticism and their length. That's a huge mismatch for them because, teams are so worried about trying to match up with Brock or Carson or Jack and Ryan, all those guys out there, and Tragan even. And then all of a sudden you put those two kids out there, and they combine for 42 points. So, I think that's what makes us so special is the depth of how balanced our top 7 guys are. Is you really have to account for all 5 guys on the floor at all times.
What did the defense do so well? You didn't have a ton of steals, so it wasn't like you were getting a bunch of steals and getting some easy layups.
Yeah, I mean, we kept them pushed out. They're a team that struggled to shoot from the outside consistently all year. They do have size. They were athletic. We kept them off the glass. We're able to run in transition off of misses. That helped quite a bit, and we did capitalize on the steals we did get. For the most part, we were able to turn into points as well.
Coach, you get Union now coming up here on Saturday. You can call it an upset as they knocked off the top seed in their half of the sub-state to advance into this game and beating Denver the other night. What did you see that they did well in that game as you watched that film?
They came out shooting the ball really well in the first quarter. They made 9 threes for the game. Now they ended up taking 29 attempts, so they were 31%, which isn't like the world's greatest percentage. It's 31%. It's nothing to turn away from, but at the same time, it was the 9 makes. 4 of their starting guard. They have 4 guards that will look to shoot in their starting lineup, and those 4 guys combined to go 8 of 19, so they were extremely efficient in hitting their open shots.
They look very balanced. They have 4 guys that average kind of between about 10.9 and 12.2 points per game. So kind of similar with you guys in that, right, that they look like that they don't need one guy to have to carry them offensively.
Yeah, they're very balanced. They got a couple of kids that come in off the bench that do a good job of playing a similar role, so you don't really see a whole lot of change when they do substitute. They really only have one true post player, I would say, and then they have 7 other guards that they'll rotate in around him. But that can be our a difference for us is not only do we have Ryan, Dylan can go out there, and although he doesn't look like your traditional post player, Dylan can really do it all. He can play inside, outside, and he's a walking mismatch wherever you put him on the floor. We got somebody like Nash that we could really take out there too if we really need to as well.
Coach, it does look like you guys have, kind of the advantage inside rebounding-wise and everything else. What do they like to do offensively, and how do they run their sets?
They run a bunch of different sets. They're pretty disciplined in it. They'll start a lot of back screens, try to get guys open. Offensively, for the most part, they want to spread you out. They want to try to attack the middle of the paint. So big thing for us is just keep not letting them drive to the middle of the basket. Because then if you're rotating to help on that, then that's where they're able to get them some easy drop-offs to their big post player. Their 2 primary ball handlers both have really high number of assists. One's over 120, the other one's over 80. So similar to like Carson and Jack for us, they're high assist guys because they do such a good job of reading defenses and dropping off. So they're similar to us in that aspect.
What do they do defensively? Are they going to press you? Are they going to sit in a zone? Do they go man-to-man? What do you anticipate seeing?
Everything I've seen so far is they want to play man. They want to pressure you, be physical. They've looked to get out and pick guys that teams up full court, try to speed them up, and kind of hope they do that because usually we're pretty successful when teams try to speed us up.
Coach, they turn it over about 11 times per game, which isn't a bad number, but do you feel like with the pressure you guys are putting on that you might be able to get them to bump that number a little bit and kind of get out and use some turnovers to get out quickly?
Yeah, I think that's what we've kind of reminded our guys is that's been our difference maker, our big games all year, whether it was, when we played Heelan, played Lewis Central, you played Glenwood, or some of the bigger games, we were able to get Des Moines Christian, turn the ball over. So we've played some pretty darn good competition with really good guard play this year, and our guys have been able to go out there consistently and create those turnovers.
You guys last year lost to Grundy Center in this round. How hungry do you think that has still made this group of guys this season?
I think it's something that maybe it's in the back of the minds a little bit, but at the same time, I think it's just even though we have a lot of the same guys, it's still a new team with, we got guys that have stepped into different roles for us, and I think our guys are ready to move on and just focus on us this year.
You got get a chance to play down at the Knapp Center. Talk about what do you think that experience is going to be like?
I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. We had a shoot around there 2 years ago and went to the state tournament. I think so, and that was cool. This is going to be a whole different thing. Being able to play on that floor in front of a crowd, I'm really excited for it. I think it's just a great venue. I think it'd be awesome if we could see the state tournament there at some point. I don't know if that's something that would actually ever happen, but I think that would be could create for a really exciting atmosphere.
Well, Sean, as always, appreciate all the time. I'll see you a little bit later on this evening. For everybody listening right now, it is a 5 o'clock tip. Now, it is the second game. You guys follow the Madrid game that starts at 3, so should be right around 5 o'clock that you guys get underway tonight. So we'll see you down there, Coach, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet. Head coach Sean Minahan again with the Kemper boys basketball team. We're back with more here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show here on KCIM.
Hey moms and dads out there, let Pizza Ranch make feeding your family fun and affordable. Every Tuesday night, kids 12 and under eat free. Whether they love the pizza, chicken, or mac and cheese, you'll make them all happy. When you're on the go with sports, church, or, well, just life, come in for a quick and delicious buffet. The best part is, they'll do the dishes. Pizza Ranch makes family meals fun and fast. For delivery or carryout, call 792-3456. Pizza Ranch, just off Highway 30 in Carroll.
Whoa, that's good.
Back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show, let's talk some Carroll girls basketball with head coach Katie Cook, who is joining us here. Tigers had a fantastic year this year, finishing up in third place and maybe the toughest conference in the state in the Raccoon River, going 16-7 overall, 10-6 in the Raccoon River Conference. Coach, as always, appreciate all of the time, and I know it ended not where you wanted it to, but congratulations on a fantastic year this year.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. It was a good experience, and thank you for your coverage all season.
You're very welcome, Coach. We haven't talked yet. I know Casey caught up with you for post-game last Saturday, but it was after our last coaches show. But you ended up dropping one to a very good Storm Lake team that you guys had beaten up there earlier this season in a tight game. But as you reflect back, I'm sure you've probably rewatched the film. As you look back at that game last Saturday, kind of your thoughts now.
I think you just got to give Storm Lake credit. They played really well. They shot really well. I didn't think we played particularly bad. They just played better.
Were you surprised at how well they were able to establish Yanga? You guys kind of held her in check, if I remember right, that first time.
Right, and they present a really tough matchup with their. They've got 3 really good 3-point shooters, and then with her in the middle it's hard to bring a double team to stop her and leave a shooter open. So, hindsight 2020, you could go back. Obviously, we would change things, but that's why they're a good team. You kind of have to pick your poison.
Yeah, Raveling and the harder girl, I thought both played well. You kind of anticipate maybe Yang and DeHaan, but 2 other girls stepping up and playing well. Who did you feel played well for you that night?
I thought Chloe Cook had a good game. She finished with 16 points. She had the toughest defensive assignment out there with Yanga. It was nice to see Caitlin finish with a few threes. She ended up breaking the career 3-point record at Carroll High that night, just by 1 shot. So that's exciting for a special player like her to get in the record books.
Yeah, and it's pretty good company to be in with Shelly Mossman, now Shelly Haluska there. So for Caitlin, what was kind of your idea of her being able to get that? And I know for her probably not able to celebrate it right away because it wasn't in a win.
Right. I think it still hits her heart. She's a kid that has worked hard. She's been playing a lot of basketball since she was very young. Yep. So it's just nice for her to have that commendation.
Coach, the season as a whole for you guys, I think there were some expectations coming in. I think you felt you'd have a chance to be really good, but everybody knows how good the Raccoon River Conference is, and for you guys to be able to, finish, in third place, tied with Gilbert there at 10-6, but ahead of teams like ADM and Ballard and Winterset, who have been, state tournament teams, even Bondurant, Farrar. It really kind of says something about what this group of kids accomplished this year, as well as you guys as coaches.
Thank you. It is quite a feat. We're very proud of that third place ranking in our conference. That third place finish, it didn't come by easily. Our 2 losses to North Polk, top ranked North Polk, splitting with Gilbert and ADM. Just looking back, it's kind of a roller coaster, but I'm really proud of these girls. I thought going into the season, as long as we didn't drop any we shouldn't, or didn't lose any games that we shouldn't lose, I thought we had a good chance at getting third in our conference. So it was nice to see, the girls, this group of girls. 2 years ago, we had 7 seniors graduate, and nobody thought we were going to be any good. But this group of girls put in work. They learned tough lessons and battled through, and they grew into this third-ranked team in our conference, 16-7, cracking the rankings in 4A most of the year. So extremely proud of them and the work they put in and the progress that they made.
Where has the most growth been? I mean, if you want to talk the last 2 years since they kind of had to take over as the kids, but as well this year, where did this team grow as this season went on?
Well, we always strive to be tough defensively. So that's something that all of them always work on. But if you look, at our team stats, our shooting percentage has gone up over the years. We shot much better from the 3-point line this season. We turned it over less this season. Our assists have gone up. It's just the girls have put in the time with their shooting. And then just trying to gain some experience and learn, like I said, learning from some of those mistakes that they maybe have made previously, and taking better care of the ball.
When you look back through the schedule, is there a game or two that kind of jump out to you, at this point, that we're like, that's the team I thought we could be this year?
The one that stands out most to me is our big win against Gilbert. I think we had them at home on a Friday night, and we won 60-34. We played really well that night. I think it was mid-January. Beating Storm Lake at Storm Lake stands out. Beating ADM at ADM by 1 at the end of January was a huge win for us. Especially when it comes down to getting third in the conference, that was a big one. We beat St. Albert at home by 1. We just kind of proved ourselves to be pretty tough at the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That St. Albert win kind of came, as you mentioned, some of those wins. There was a stretch there from late January into, kind of the, I don't know if you want to call it the middle part of February, where you guys were almost unbeatable at that stretch of the season.
Yeah, I think we only lost 2 games in January, and it would have been, to North Polk and maybe Carlisle.
Yep.
But, the girls, we had some really, really nice stretches, a really, really fun season, racked up a lot of wins, and just really enjoyed the time together.
Defensively, was this team as good as you thought it could be?
The way that they've come around over the years with just as versatility, I suppose, with things we can do with screens and just basketball smarts. They were better this year than I would have guessed. They really understand what we're trying to do defensively, and that takes a little while for them to learn. But I'm really proud of what they were able to do defensively. I don't like to have to play a zone if we don't have to, and we didn't really have to very often.
Coach, 4 seniors on this team. You mentioned Caitlin Aiden, going to be a special one, in the history books. But also had 3 other seniors that really helped this team: Sophia Tidgren, Olivia Rowetter, and then you throw Carly Menken in there. I still wonder what could this team continue to have been, and maybe even been if she could have been healthy for you all year.
Right. Yeah. Carly Menken, unfortunately, was battling a knee injury for most of the season. And we're at the end of the day, we're just thankful for the 4 years that she's put into the program. A really likable kid, liked by all of her teammates. Going back to Caitlin Aiden, 4-year starter for us. Second season in a row, she was voted first team all conference unanimously. So she's really well respected in our conference. She's an excellent role model for the younger girls. It's been a joy to watch her growth in her leadership and her mental toughness over the years. And she's got an exciting future ahead of her at Wartburg. And then you mentioned Olivia Rowetter, another girl who's highly respected by her teammates, particularly for her heart and her hustle. She's a player that led by example and has really grown to be a physically and mentally tough player for us. Academic all-state kid, and she was voted second team all-conference. And then we've got Sophia Tidgren. How fun is it to watch her hit threes all season and just go play her heart out? She's one of the hardest workers that we've had, physically and mentally tough player, and honestly, the truly kind-hearted, caring, extremely smart young lady, another academic all-stater. She earned honorable mention all conference this season. Really special group of seniors, and I'm proud of each and every one of them.
Coach, you're losing that group, but you've got some pieces to be able to build around. I thought Allie Cook and Chloe Cook this year were absolutely fantastic. Good to see, and not good to see, great to see Allie healthy this year and to see what she's really capable of doing. And then Analia Ayala came off and gave you some really good minutes this year. Jersey Sporer will be back again next year and gives you a shooter. So there's some other pieces that maybe didn't see a ton of minutes that maybe grew throughout the JV year. So there's definitely some building blocks to continue the progress with.
Absolutely. Losing these 4 seniors is tough, but we've got a good group of girls. There's not a big drop off by any means. It's just going to be people stepping into a little bit different roles than they've had previously. You mentioned Allie. It'll be nice to have her back. She's our second leading scorer. She's really developed her game. She's just struggled over the years to stay on the court and get that experience with some injuries, but she's been able to stay healthy and for the most part. And it's nice to have her on the court because she can kind of play any position. And she's a really great leader and communicator out there for us. She's another kid who got first team all conference. So it's really nice to see that all the time she puts in pay off. And then Chloe Cook coming back. She had 7 points a game this season. She's a pretty exciting young player. She's got great moves, good footwork, and her mobility makes her a tough matchup for the other teams. She was honorable mention all conference. And then with the combination of Jersey Sporer and Analia Ayala, they'll bring back some experienced ball handling, court time, good shooters, working into becoming good slashers and drivers. And they're the couple of competitors that, they just like to get out there and compete, and they're ready to step into those bigger roles next season.
Coach, what do you want to see the returning players and maybe even the new players coming in out of the junior high ranks or whatever? What do they need to work on, here in the off season when they get those opportunities?
We've got in our case, we have to get them on the court. We don't have a lot of girls that, play AAU all year round, like a lot of the teams in our conference do. So it's really important for us to get them in the gym and get them, you don't have to travel around the state to play a lot of basketball. We can do it here in Carroll, which is get to the gym and we'll play. But it's going to be adjustment. The varsity pace is faster, so we've got to get them adjusted to the pace. And the physicality is an adjustment as well. So, again, it's just a matter of getting them in the gym. And I know that the incoming freshmen have good, solid skills, so I think it's mostly going to be a physicality and a pace thing.
Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate all the time you've given us all season long. It's great getting to work with you. Also, thank you very much for always getting us everything we need to be able to type up the recap stories at night after the ball games, even after those long road trips to Bondurant and Carlisle and Winterset and all of the 2-hour bus rides that you have to make. So we thank you for everything all season long, and we're excited for next year.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
You bet. Head coach Katie Cook again with the Carroll Girls basketball team. We're back with more here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show here on this Saturday morning.
Tune in each Monday morning and afternoon for the IKM Manning Minute. We'll be talking with the students about what they're doing and learning each week. The IKM Manning Minute is brought to you by Next Gen Ag Supply in Templeton.
Back here on the Peach Ranch Coaches Show, wrapping up the boys wrestling season with the Carroll Tigers. They had another fantastic year under head coach Eric Noggle. And Coach, as always, it's good to catch up with you. It stinks this is the last interview of the season for us.
Yeah, it's crazy to think it's here and gone. And heck, I think we were just talking about it before. It all of a sudden, it sneaks up on you the season, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, it's over. So yeah.
It is. It's like Christmas break and then New Year's, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're into January, and then the next thing you know, we're talking state and wrapping up the season, and we are here today to look back on a great season. We talked a little bit about OW last week and the other guys that had made state and kind of wrapped up their seasons, but Owen wrestled again on Saturday, finishing up in 5th. So let's start with him. We talked last Saturday morning. We were down at state on Friday night chatting, but beat 3 and 4 on Thursday night or Friday night, and then had to open up with number 2 on Saturday morning. Ended up a heartbreaking 2-1 loss in that one. I thought he had it, and then he comes back and ends up winning his 5th place match. So was this as good as you've seen Owen Klecki wrestle in his entire career?
Yeah, hands down. I mean, Owen's one of those hardworking kids that just goes to the grind, puts his nose to the grinding stone and makes it happen. And he'll wrestle anybody. I think Dan and I were joking about that. Just as a little kid, we were joking that Dan Drake, when he was in the Cardinals, would always say, O-double wrestle him when they had guys going out. So, he's never afraid of competition and jumping in, and he wrestled everybody and did everything. But, yeah, that's probably the best he's ever wrestled. And he got hot, and it was fun to watch. I mean, the Sergeant Bluff guys were excited. It seemed like everybody was behind him, which was a lot of fun. And he made it interesting and gave it everything he had. So proud of him. Very proud of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And fun to see him go out. I asked him last week in one of my video interviews, when did you get so difficult to score on? He talked about the adjustments you guys made, kids. He said he was giving some things up early in the year, and people were able to score some points on him. Talk about those adjustments and his willingness to be able to make those.
Well, O-Dub was hard to score on early in the year, but I think he just kind of thought he could wrestle through some things and let them catch some leverage on him and get underneath him a little bit. But his leg defense has always been tough. And when he was a sophomore, junior, I think his junior year is when he really kind of put a lot of work into that leg defense and letting people get to the legs where, he could fight it off and he knew he could score from that position. Where I think the last adjustments part of the end of the year, he still had the leg defense to go behind it, but he didn't rely on it. He made it more of a offensive, I'm going to score, let me get to my attacks instead of being that counter attack or that counter offense and letting them do majority of the work where, he's kind of putting himself in a position where he was trying to score and making it hard for people to get him out of position, and he was working to get them more out of position, which is something we've been kind of preaching for his entire career, but it kind of just, it clicked. It's crazy when things like that happen, but the last part of the season, I think that was his emphasis, and he really put effort into it, and it worked out.
I know you gave Coach Berger a lot of credit last Saturday morning when we chatted with putting together the game plans. I'm assuming that was similar on Saturday for O-Dub and the way he went out and executed, even in that 2-1 loss. You guys had to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor's done a great job of putting things together and working with O-Dub, and Dan Drake did a great job with him as well. Those two guys kind of put game plans together and worked really, really well with O-Dub and got him to where he needed to be, and he took off and he did those types of things. So yeah, my staff is incredible with Coach Weber, Coach Vander Heiden, Dan Drake, and Taylor Berger. Those guys do a great job with all of my guys and get everybody prepared. And I'll take this staff against anybody in the state, the way they prepare and the way they get kids behind them and get them to wrestle for them and doing those things. We're pretty fortunate here at Carroll to have that staff and to put that work in, and the kids believe in them and they believe in the kids. So we're pretty fortunate to have that.
Oh, and one of 4 seniors, Jason Aviles, that's going to be graduating this year as well, Beckett Hagan and Jamison Polking. I think those 4 guys have been a part of kind of this explosion of Carroll wrestling here in the last few years for you guys.
Yeah, those guys have been, through it. They were freshmen when the ball kind of started rolling a little bit, and we're behind it, and maybe didn't have a position in the lineup or a place to fill. I think they kind of sat back and watched how things happen. I know O-Dub as a freshman didn't get in the lineup very much. As a matter of fact, we talk about missing weight and things like that in those stories, and Beckett, jumped in later on his junior and senior year and got a chance to wrestle, and Jamison jumped in this year as a senior, got his opportunity to get in the starting lineup, and he played a beneficial role last year in the team and helped us out in some serious situations, but kind of emphasized and solidified his position on the team this year as a starting role. And then Jason, coming out his junior and senior year, really didn't come out his sophomore year and jumping in with never wrestling or never doing anything at sports wise when it came to basically anything that came into wrestling at all, and did a great job for us. So those seniors are monumental in our program, and they're truly going to be missed.
As you look back over the season, what were some of the weekend tournaments or duels during the week or quads, anything you were involved in that you're going to look back maybe 20 years after you retire and kind of go, man, that one still stands out to me?
Everyone has their moments in there. I think the hardest part for us was this year is trying to find ourselves as a team and what we were going to be and who we were going to be. And I think that kind of came after the Perry tournament. That Perry tournament is going to stick out for me with these guys because we had some guys have some key wins and really solidify who they were in their positions and the type of people they were going to be and who the wrestlers they were going to be. And I know it was a little later in the season, but I think that one kind of sticks out to me. The Herbergens was a fun one. Again, we had a lot of guys do a lot of good things there, and that was after the Perry tournament, so that kind of got us rolling a little bit. And I really think that even though we didn't beat Winterset and that quad that we had with Winterset and Underwood and Lewis Central, I think as a team we really kind of had that momentum going. And I think that last half of January, even though it was the grind and really, really and tough on our guys, I think that's really the part of the year that I'm going to remember with this group of kids.
Coach, where did you see this team grow through the season? Because we were talking before that, during the commercial break here before we came on, that you guys graduated such a big group and such a talented group last year. You knew there would be some steps that would have to be taken with this team and this group because you had a lot of young guys wrestling.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had a lot of guys graduate going through, and this group came through, and they just stepped in and they did their job. And like I said, we battled a lot of adversity with this team, with an unusual sickness. I think we were sick for like 3 weeks there straight, where it was just, we never had our full lineup in. We never had our guys in there. We never had everybody in there. I think after Christmas, we were excited because we were finally going to get guys at every weight and have a full lineup. And it just didn't happen. It kind of got behind us. And like I said, when that last half of January came in, those guys came in and did their part. And I think that's when we kind of came together as a team and did and did our part. And it finally motivated, but we had young guys step in and jump into some roles that they haven't been in before. I mean, Trevin Weber gets hurt and we have to have Caden Clucky step in. Beckett gets a concussion early in the year and has to sit out the season. He breaks his thumb. We have to have Elliot Overmold jump in. Jake Kincaid gets a concussion in the middle of the season, so we have to have Wade Langling jump in. So we've had a lot of guys that jumped in and had some substantial places on our team and some influential roles. And that was a tough thing for us to kind of get in and swing through in our momentum and God, I don't even know how to say it, how to keep the momentum rolling and everything. And the guys just did it. And that's one thing I'll give about these guys is they never staggered. They just kind of jumped in and took their position and did it. And we learned through and got as good as we could get.
As this program continues to grow, Coach, what do you need the returning guys to do in the off season here to come back and continue moving forward with this program?
Well, we got to put some time in the weight room. I think we were a little undersized with this year. We weren't as strong or as big. So I think that we got to put a little more emphasis of getting in the weight room. And I don't know. I'm thinking these guys I'm hoping they're growing. They're going to grow because we got some big kids in there that can grow. But I think we got to put some time in the weight room, and then we got to put some time on the mat. We got to put some time in the practice room and working on our fundamentals and working on positioning and doing things like that rather than just wrestling and things like that. We got to really focus and get our drilling into situations, and we got to spend some time on the mat. And then the other things that we got to do is we got to be competitive. We got to get involved in other sports. We got to get involved in other activities. We can't just be one sport athletes. We got to get involved in football. We got to get involved in track, soccer. I'm not saying swimming because that's what's going on during ours, golf. I mean, everything. We just need kids involved in activities overall in general. And I think that's what we need to do as a program to continue to grow is get kids involved and catch that in. And we need kids to come out for the sport. I think this year was kind of our smallest number of kids being out, and we need to grow our numbers a little bit, and kids need to take some chances to come out for the sport, and hopefully that's how we can continue to grow.
Coach, last thing for you here, you got some juniors that have been to state at one time or another in their career, whether it be last year or this year, probably going to be the guys you're going to be looking to be the leaders, but who do you need to step up next year, whether it be next year's senior class or maybe even some underclassmen to kind of take everybody under their wings and be those guys to lead this program?
Our junior class is going to be our main class coming through. I mean, it tends to be your junior class, your senior class coming in, but we need everybody. I'm kind of unique in the situation. I feel that I'm unique because I really don't look as like my senior class as being the leaders, and they should have to do that. I want everybody to be a leader. Just because you've been in it 4 years doesn't make you that leader position. I need guys that want to come in and want to get better and want to improve and make themselves better people and better human beings in general. And that's what we need. We need everybody to step into that position and take that ownership and leadership. To me, to make a well-oiled machine or a well-oiled program, you need everybody involved, and we can't just have a certain few guys kind of leading us through. We need everybody to do their part, and kind of learned that with Coach Roeder and Coach McCartan and the football programs and that we've had in the past, and Coach K and all the coaches that I've had in the past. Anybody can be a leader and anybody can step up and lead. We just need everybody to kind of do their part.
Well, Coach, as always, you know how much I enjoy chatting with you on Saturday mornings. You get a break from me until next fall, and next winter. So enjoy that time away, and we look forward to catching up with you here soon.
I will, and I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for supporting the Carroll Tigers this year and making wrestling a lot of fun. And hopefully we got some people excited and enjoying the sport of wrestling. And I hope everybody has a great time enjoying a little break from here and until next year or whatever. But as always, I'll leave you with this. Go Tigers.
Head coach Eric Nagel again with the Carroll Boys Wrestling team. We're back with more here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning here on KCIM.
Hey moms and dads out there, let Pizza Ranch make feeding your family fun and affordable. Every Tuesday night, kids 12 and under eat free. Whether they love the pizza, chicken, or mac and cheese, you'll make them all happy. When you're on the go with sports, church, or, well, just life, come in for a quick and delicious buffet. The best part is, they'll do the dishes. Pizza Ranch makes family meals fun and fast. For delivery or carryout, call 792-3456. Pizza Ranch, just off Highway 30 in Carroll.
Whoa, that's good.
That's going to wrap up our Pizza Ranch Coaches Show for this Saturday, March the 1st. Again, it is the final Saturday morning Coaches Show until the fall sports season rolls around. We will talk to our spring coaches from Carroll and Kemper and all the surrounding schools. Those will be podcast on the podcast center at sports.1380kcm.com. We'll do the same thing with the baseball and softball coaches. And then, of course, we'll catch up with the regional coaches on that podcast center through the fall next fall. But, of course, we'll have our Carroll and Kemper coaches back here on the Peach Ranch Coaches Show again, starting up with the fall sports season. But want to thank Randy Beeson, Sean Minahan, Katie Cook, and Eric Nagel all for checking in with us here today and wrapping up their seasons. We'll talk with Coach Minahan again. We'll have that interview next Saturday morning, and if they make the state tournament, we'll have another one the following Saturday morning to recap the season with him. So we're not done having those interviews. We're just not going to have the full-fledged long show every Saturday morning. Now, coming up today, Kemper's again going to be taking on Union down at Drake University at the Knapp Center. I'll have the broadcast with Doug Waniger today. 93.7 KKRL, the place to find that broadcast coverage getting underway at about 4:45, maybe a little bit before that, maybe 4:40 or so. Tip-off of that game at 5 o'clock. Now, Coon Rapids Bear taking on Woodbine out at Council Bluffs Lincoln. That game will be on Kick 106.7 with Casey Minders and Devin Dembinski. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off for that Class 1A Sub-State 7 final. So that game will get underway with pregame at around 6:40, 6:45. Thanks for tuning in here. Thanks to Pizza Ranch again for, sponsoring our Saturday morning Coaches Show throughout the fall and winter sports season. And thank you for joining us each and every Saturday. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you later on this evening.